talk about.
So I was just telling you how we set up this program. I've been a Rotarian for 28 years.
I got all that. What
community service said, oh, well, and Chris is a member of our club, and he said, oh, I got an idea for a community service project. And he said, well, why don't we do some videotaping of some of the seniors in our facility to tell some of their stories. And then somebody else came up with, well, listen, we also deal with some guardian scholars at Santa Barbara City College. Are you aware of the fact what they are?
Well, you're one of them, aren't you?
No.
Hmm?
No.
Oh. Thought I was going to be so impressive. But
well, the thing is,
well, I can imagine what they are. Yes.
Okay, but basically, how it started out was that emancipated foster children, when they turn 18 years of age, they get sent out on their own. So they're on their own. So there's probably, what I've heard, maybe 10% that graduate from high school, maybe 1% of that 10% graduate from college. These two individuals are emancipated foster children who are going to City College, Santa Barbara City College. So they're one of the unique 1% of the 10%.
I think you've heard which two individuals you're talking about?
Joseph and Avante.
Joseph and Avante, okay.
Okay. And so Joseph, I was assigned to Joseph about 2 years ago to meet with him occasionally, play tennis with him, go to lunch, have meetings, that type of thing, to see if I can be of any assistance in some of his challenges, whatever is going on, some of my feedback from my old age experience, right? To him I know. So then we thought, well, let's also get the Guardian Scholars, because that's what they're called at Santa Barbara City College, because they have like an organization, to assist us in this. And so that's why Joseph and Avante had volunteered their time to be with us today to assist in this process. So since Joseph is actually going to be the person that's going to get you started, not that you need any help in sharing your story, maybe Joseph can introduce himself to you and tell a little bit about his background.
Why not? Love to hear it. I'm so impressed already. My goodness.
Yeah, they are impressive.
Well, I was born in Santa Barbara. Were you born in Santa Barbara also?
Yes.
Yeah? So we're both Santa Barbara natives here. I grew up in Lompoc, actually, for a few years, and moved back to Santa Barbara to live with my aunt for a little bit, and then I went...
What's your aunt's name? You don't have
Debbie Merriman? Debbie Merriman?
Merriman. Well, there again, you say, yeah, I know the name and so forth, but some of the names are, I remember more than others, so
yeah.
That's why I asked.
Okay. Yeah. So I graduated from Dos Pueblos in Goleta, and I moved out the day after I graduated high school. I moved out of my aunt's house, and she was kind of like my foster parent for a while. I was in foster care earlier, but she kind of adopted me out of foster care for a couple years until I graduated high school. And I moved downtown at Garden Court through a program called My Home for foster youth who have, been emancipated. And I'm going to City College now, trying to get my education and get my life rolling, really. And I'm here today to listen to your wonderful stories that you have.
Oh, yeah, don't count too much at all, that build up. A little one here and there I dropped, but anyway.
And Norma, he has never been kicked out of high school, have you?
Oh, you haven't been,
no.
He's never had the experience.
But I did go to Santa Barbara High School for one semester, so I'm interested in hearing your high school
darling,
story.
But I was, you see, we didn't get to see that. You're all media, aren't you? Media covers what you do, doesn't it, more or less? The media? Is that does that cover that? Is that the general title for your organization?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why did I get hung up on that? Media, that you were all...
Well, Avante is actually majoring in media.
That was probably it. Then I think I probably heard her mention it somewhere. But I want you to know that the Mother Superior at the high school that I attended called me back. And because it was close to graduation time, and she suggested I come back and graduate with my class and so forth. So she forgave me.
Oh, nice.
That clears all that up. That clears that up. Now.
Yeah.
Now what do you think?
Well, I'm surprised.
I was a bit too, but anyway, hadn't particularly planned on it. And the other, quickly in Tijuana, yeah.
Well, don't tell all your stories now. We're not
Oh, there aren't
videotaped.
that many, but go ahead. I do have the media, which I was thinking, I was dwelling more on media stories because of what Avanti had said about the early days of the newspaper and the breaking news and all that kind of stuff, which may or may not be of interest to you all. But anyway, we'll go ahead. I'm not full of that, that many stories, so I'm kind of preserving a few of them. Go ahead, Joseph.
Oh, well, I'm just here to listen to you and listen to, get to know you a little bit about your life,
Are you jealous about how that worked out for me?
Oh, maybe just a little bit. I think it's cool, though.
May I ask a question, or how?
Sure.
I would want, when you say foster, I mean, what does that cover exactly? I know of the term and so forth and so on. Do you have any, you mentioned an aunt.
Yeah.
Do you have any other relatives?
I do have some family here in Carpinteria, some grandparents, an aunt, some cousins, but my parents passed away when I was younger.
Oh.
So
yeah.
That's pretty much what put me into foster.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, yes,
Yeah.
I see. Oh. Well, you're certainly a well-spoken young guy, and isn't he? I mean, for heaven's sakes, I'm very impressed with you.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I'm sure you're all very impressed. Impressive. Okay, now where are we?
Avanti. She's going to introduce herself.
She's the media gal. Okay.
I'm the media gal.
Here we are. Hey, I guess, does anybody explain? My eyes are just very tricky, so I focus, but not that well, and so forth and so on.
That's okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, my name's Avanti Elias, and where to begin? It's been a long journey.
And what?
And so I was born in Santa Maria, California, up north, kind of near Lompoc area. And then I lived in Atlanta, Georgia for 15, 16 years.
How did that happen? Of course, that's the obvious question.
Oh, yeah, my father, he started radio stations down in the South. So he's been in radio for 25 years. So that's kind of where I get
So you did have a parent?
Yes. I have a mother and a father.
Oh,
Yes. And so I lived in Georgia with my mother for a long time. And then I moved back out to Santa Maria and graduated from Rigetti High School. And I lived with my big sister for a period of time. And then I was also in foster care for about 8 months during my senior year at Rigetti High School. And then I decided just to come over to Santa Barbara City College and study there. I study TV. So I am the media person, all media. That's what I study there. And then I'm just here today just to listen to your story as well, to see what
when you say media, what are you heading for?
TV production in particular.
With what?
TV production?
You'd always have to, really, wouldn't you, Don? I mean,
Yes.
with newspapers, and it's just a shame.
Dying industry.
Oh, makes me sick because I grew up with the Santa Barbara News Press and the morning paper, too, and so forth. It's beautiful papers, and one hates to see them go.
Right.
Well, of course, they haven't gone, and we do have a woman editor there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so as far as that goes, that could be an eventual help. And how are the newspapers doing in Santa Barbara? We have the Sound and the Independent. See, I'm not reading them because I can't read them anymore, unfortunately. But,
right. I see a lot of independents at school. A lot of people read those because they're free editions, so that definitely helps as students, because we do have a lot of expenses nowadays. It's a lot more in depth in the financial situation going to school nowadays. But I read the Independent from time to time. They have really good articles in there, just about movies and stuff. It's pretty interesting, but it's a lot different because stuff is online now, so everything is digital.
Oh, heavens, different. Is this time for an early newspaper story?
Sure.
Well, I mean, I don't want to bore anybody with it, but I go back so far that when they talk about breaking news, the breaking news, they would call out all the newspaper boys that rode bicycles and delivered newspapers out for what they call the extra edition, and that's when that term came about. And at night, during the night, for any of the big stories that didn't come out during the day, of course, and so forth, that would be in print. So I thought that might interest you in that respect. So, and we could hear, of course, the town would awaken, and we could hear the voice calling extra all over through town, and it was. I look back at it, and that's not a memory I really would have. You don't expect that, not in this day and age, you know.
Right.
Did that interest you?
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually, because it's very different now.
In fact, my brothers were a couple of those newspaper boys, and they'd wheel their bicycles around in their heavy sacks. But it was at night when you could hear the extra, 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 and the lights would come on in the various houses, and we'd all know, oh boy, something big has happened. That's how we got that.
Right.
It's a far cry from media today, right?
Very far.
You hear breaking news announcement. Breaking news, stay tuned, and who knows. But anyway, okay. I don't know why I thought
I'm
that
not sure
was
this
it.
is on.
I don't think it is.
It
What?
might be on. I don't want to move it, actually.
What did you say, E?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, it's been on for like 10 minutes.
it has been on. Oh,
He'll edit that out. That's fine. We
What's
can
been
start
on?
whenever.
Okay, we got.
The camera.
Oh, look, good Lord. You mean I'm on film through all this?
That's correct.
This is just the warm up.
This is what?
This is just the warm up. We're just getting to know each other, so this will be edited out.
Oh, Avanti, don't warm up. There's no such thing. It's a mess from day. And I'm studying around here, and I wasn't even paying a hell of a lot of attention to how I was saying anything. And now you tell me I was about to be discovered on film?
Yeah, that's it.
Huh?
We just want you to act natural and normal. Just like
Well, I'm
just as you
acting
are.
naturally and normally, but who's going to see all this? Who's going to see all this?
Whoever you want to.
Whoever you want to see.
It's all up to you. You can just be the only one to see it, or you can share
Well,
it
I'll
with
tell
your
you the
family.
truth, darling. I came in here because Tucker asked me to, told me about it. It sounded interesting. But I've been through this before here with the privacy bit. And they did manage to get a very short version of my life, my sons and so forth. Short. And I've treasured that, and I've what's the word I'm trying to think of? I've treasured that, my privacy. It's meant a lot to me. And so I don't know how to answer you right now. I think I did mention to Tucker that I'm not too happy about all this filming and so forth. So I think it's because I hear so much about all the information that's going out on all the, what would you call the...
Internet.
Yes, thank you. And all that stuff, and it's built up to the point I thought, oh, my God. I heard that. I heard the word film, and I heard internet and so forth. No way. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So where does that leave me and us?
It's where we were before. You're in control of who gets to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody
no
can
harm,
see
no
it,
foul.
and that'd be fine.
Well, why would you want to even get it then?
It's all up to you.
We're just filming this just in case you want your family to see.
No, my family doesn't. No, they understand how I feel about it and so forth. So that's not a factor.
Oh, okay.
So now I repeat my question: why are we filming it then?
Well, I'd be interested in finding out about you early in Santa Barbara and your high school experience, and how come you got kicked out of school.
And your Tijuana trip.
And your Tijuana trip.
And what?
And your Tijuana trip.
Oh, well,
During
I've
spring
already
break.
been an entrepreneur. There were half a dozen young people like myself, and we decided to go to Tijuana. And I remember I'm talking 75 years ago. So, you know,
Wow.
there was the language problem and everything else down there. And I think that they finally decided the best way to resolve all this. I guess we were arrested. They thought, I don't know what they thought, as I say, an entrepreneur with the girls. And they finally decided that, hey, things weren't quite what they imagined. And we were released, and we went back to the States and so forth and so on.
Oh, that's great.
Huh?
That's great.
But
Just being able to.
at that time, and considering our age, you know, it was a little scary and so forth.
It's scary now, too.
Yeah, still is.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. But we left there with a clean bill of health and so forth and so on, and we didn't get into too much trouble, and then they were all very nice about it, and that was that. Now, where else were we? See, these aren't too thrilling.
Okay, do you have something more thrilling that you'd like to talk about?
The thrilling that I'd like to talk about.
Didn't you say that your family owned a restaurant here in Santa Barbara? At one point, did they?
Not particularly, no.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know where that would come from, but
How many generations would you say your family has been here in Santa Barbara? Are there still family members currently living here?
how many generations? You know, you're getting into dates and...
Oh, okay. Do you have any siblings still here in Santa Barbara? Or have they moved across the United States?
No, most of my family's gone, including
Oh, okay.
it's a little hard to tell the story of my family because, you know, I mentioned this quote to a couple of people and they don't seem to have heard it or know of it, but the one about it, in various terms, life is what happens to us when we're making other plans, okay? Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's more or less the story with me. Because I went through all the usual things, school and so forth, and what education and I could get, but that was primarily dependent on the fact that, incidentally, the war years came along, and my husband then was South Pacific and in Japan at the time of the surrender. I lost my mother in a blackout in Santa Barbara. Does that astound any of you?
Yes, that's very interesting.
And that because of the Japanese ships that had been sighted and were thought to be hanging about out in the harbor here. So,
Oh, wow.
so the whole town blacked out at when it was time to black out and so forth and so on. And unfortunately, she was coming home from a grocery store nearby, and it was dark, and the lights were out, and she was injured to the point where we lost her.
It's okay.
How was she injured in the blackout?
A car hit her, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, a car came along, and of course they didn't have its lights. I don't know why that just kind of popped up. Not that it was not into something to remember, but anyway, that I guess what I'm trying to get at, you asked about my siblings and so forth. They're all gone. I had a twin brother. They're all gone. I don't know. This just seems like such a damn bore to you guys, but
No.
No, it's really interesting.
But well, unfortunately, it got a little more interesting as far as my life went because a total turnabout. I had my first child. Husband went to war. I lost my mother during that period, and I thought at the time, well, nothing worse is going to happen to you now. You've lost your mother, and that's going to be about the worst thing in your life. Little did I know. But eventually, as my children, I lost my older son. I'm cutting through a lot of stuff here. My older son, when he was going to Bishop Garcia and his soon-to-be wife, way too soon, was going to San Marcos, and they did marry right out of high school, unfortunately, very young. But he got a job, and he decided he applied at law school and was accepted. So he was doing all this much too young, but and they wound up at 25 with two small children, two little girls, 4 and 1, and so forth. And unfortunately, coming home one evening, he was killed in an automobile accident.
Wow.
It's unfortunate.
Yes, and more so, Bonnie, his wife. Is this what you want to hear?
Sure.
Well, I mean, this is not going on a film and so forth, is it?
Not if you don't want it to.
No, I don't, because it's just, it's my own private matter.
Right.
Yeah.
But as I say, this applies to how life changes for one. You think, oh, you got it all mapped out and planned and so forth and so on. But Bonnie became manic depressive, and that changed everything with two little girls to care for.
Right.
That became the dominant factor in my life, and it stayed that way for a long time. Fortunately, I did have an adopted a daughter who helped out considerably with those children. They adored her, and she became cancerous, and that was another. Yeah, so we lost her, and gosh, I feel it sounds like, you know, it was hell. It was hell. But I'm sitting here reciting it, and I think to myself, they don't want to hear all this.
You know, it's part of you. It's part of your
Well,
life
that was
story.
it. So anyway, we lost her, so it just became a succession of just pure hell. But we got the kids, we got the girls raised through college. They found good husbands. Things worked out, and I could pursue and pick up some of my education. In fact, I did it through my granddaughters, and at that time, and so forth and so on. So But those are the things. God, what a difference! You can imagine what a difference it makes. And of course, I do have another son, thank God. And there is an interesting point. Somebody was when they were I would interview before, it was discuss the fact that I came full circle, and I did. We lived. I know you don't know Santa Barbara very well, but downtown there's a place called Cottage Grove where we grew up. No, we didn't grow up. My father my father and mother owned a place there, and when I was about 7, they moved uptown to the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Just beyond the courthouse. They bought a home they moved over there, and I grew up there. So I'm starting the circle from downtown to Santa Barbara up to the courthouse, and up near the courthouse and so forth. And then eventually they bought a much larger place, and one of the daughters opened a preschool there. So the house became the focal point of quite a bit going on, and we lived north a little ways, in the La Cumbre area.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And until things started changing, the kids grew up, and so I don't know how you can figure all this out, because I'm sitting here listening to myself and thinking, how did I work all this in? I don't know, but anyway, we all kind of changed things, and I was ready, and they were ready. They wanted to move downtown, and this was available, and I had a dear friend who managed to, in fact, she's the mediation lawyer for the city of Santa Barbara, and she managed to get me in. She knew about this place. She had helped me before. I'd been a client for quite a while, and so anyway, the circle was completed. We came from over there, as I said, went near the Cumbre, and that area out there, turned around, came back down here. So I have come full circle, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yes.
I can't imagine why you wouldn't be bored stiff by now. Not with the deaths in the family. That wouldn't bore anybody, because everybody would have to feel so beyond grief about those sort of things, especially when children are involved.
Yeah.
But and how well you know that you without
Very
you
well.
did have, but you
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So anyway, here I am.
Wow.
And so you see, I'm not too thrilled with all that being filmed, and
Well, how about another question, Norma? Have you ever traveled outside of the United States to a different country?
Other
Well,
than
don't
Tijuana.
don't forget, yeah, thank you.
Other than
That
Tijuana.
was involved in one of those plans that I had. I was going to travel all over, and my idea of traveling all over was, I thought, hey, a good way to learn about the country was to go to each country and meet somebody, and who knows, I don't want to shock y'all, but if you have an affair, okay, you have an affair. You really learn about the country. I mean, I had to be pretty young to be thinking about that, but it was a young time. So I had to give up all that. I had to give up the idea of traveling and so forth and so on, as far as that goes. I had to give up a lot, but I'm not complaining, don't misunderstand me. But it did change things tremendously.
Right. Mm-hmm. Where's your favorite place here in Santa Barbara to be, like, in childhood growing up? What was kind of your favorite park, or, maybe after school you went with some of your friends to a certain location here that's just maybe has the beach right next
Oh,
to
well,
it.
of course, yes. That's the primary thing, the beach, yes. Right,
That's
yeah.
your favorite part about Santa Barbara?
Yes, and the kids loved it and so forth and so on. And I think with it, and just the different events that came along, you know, just kind of fitted everything in. But it was hard because, as I say, that it was, well, for instance, I had to overcome, you'll understand this too, I think a couple of my memories about my the granddaughters who were so affected by the deaths of their parents, that one of the granddaughters, which took a little while to overcome, found her mother, okay?
Oh, okay.
That's, well, not okay, but anyway. And I always remember for the little snips of memory. We were in the mortuary, which is not my idea to take the kids there, but the other grandmother was involved occasionally, so. And that granddaughter at 7 walked over, was she quite 7? Why am I saying this?
Oh, you're just talking about perhaps.
I just a memory, but she walked over to the coffin and she stroked her mother's arms and just generally stayed there and talked to her mother, and then she turned to me and she said, "Grandma, she's so cold." And I mean, how do you forget something like that? Those are the memories for me. But I will add another one I just thought of when we were over on Garden Street is where we went, right beyond the courthouse, where we moved and grew up and went to school and so forth. Good old Dolores School, and that's when I went to the high school here and all that kind of stuff. But there was a real, your typical little corner grocery across from where where we lived. And, you know, I wonder why, well, anyway. So the kids' neighbors, you know, we'd go over there and get all our stuff and so forth and so on. And during that period, you know, I don't know, maybe I don't just continue this. Does the word bloomers mean anything to you?
My mom used to make me wear them when I was really little.
She what?
She used to make me wear them to church when I was really little.
There you know. Of course, you guys may not. We were wearing bloomers. We'd go into the store there. And of course, as you know, I'll tell for the guys, the bloomers had elastic around here. So they were, you know, they covered up. That's why they were bloomers.
And had lace on them.
Yeah?
And had lace on them?
Yeah, and they were covered up, and they covered up the little girls' bodies and all that kind of stuff, and really nice. But also, well, we would distract the girls, well, one of us would, while the little girls would pull up those bloomers and full of candy and all that kind of stuff all the store.
Oh, wow.
I know. I know. We grew out of that, though. After a while, we felt a little sorry for it, a little ashamed of ourselves, so we let that go. But that you remembered, I thought about that. I thought, oh, nobody would remember about the bloomers. But you did.
My mom does.
Huh?
My mom used to make me wear those a lot.
Yeah.
They're kind of uncomfortable.
When you tell your mom we used to go and hide candy, it was really handy. Because, you know, candy was good. Once you got that candy stuck up under those
it's
elastic
not coming out.
bands. Yeah. How did I get from there to there?
Just talking about your granddaughters.
Same topic you started with when you said life is what happens when you're planning other things.
Yes.
I mean, everything you've shared was about that theme of sharing how your life happened.
Very true. I had entirely different plan. Well, has that particularly happened to you? I mean, there are a lot of things where you might have wanted to do and were held back for other reasons, right? I don't think I'm alone in that. Or was there anything terribly dramatic in your lives?
I think what happens, Norma, is that you head down one path, but you got to be aware of the fact that there's a left or a right to go depending on your circumstances. And when life happens, you have to veer left or veer right or make some conciliation. Other opportunities show up. So you went down a different direction when life showed up.
Yes. Listen, my older son was, and I say, the father of these children and stuff, but that was, and then my daughter. But somehow and you're convinced you're not going to get through all those times, but you do somehow. You do. I don't know how I look back now and wonder, my God, how did I handle all that? How did I do that?
I've heard a lot of people say that with adversity you become stronger. Maybe you became a stronger person because of the adversity.
How right you are, E. I don't think we don't have any choice. It's you or who, you know?
You either make it or you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I like to think, Norma. When I
What?
try to get through my days, that's how I like to think. I like to think about my mom, and she motivates me to get through. Some days when they're harder
About your
than
mom,
others.
tell me about your mom.
My mom, she's a single parent. She's still raising my little sister in Atlanta, Georgia. So we're all basically from the South.
Oh, but you said your mom and your little sister, when you say little sister, how old is she?
She's 17. I'm 19 right now. Yeah. So we're only 2 years apart.
Hey, you're just such a baby, 19. She sounds like a very mature 19, doesn't she?
Thank you.
Yeah. You're quite a group, I must say. I'm very impressed with you guys.
Thank you.
We're impressed with you.
Oh, my God. I can't imagine that. To me, what's coming out is sitting here just yakking a lot of, just talking and yakking. You're not, I don't know, and wondering what's the word I'm trying to think of? A beat up old broad just
No.
No.
full of a lot of talk and so forth.
No, just that you're here is impressive. You know, you have so much more life experience than me and Avanti, and so many more memories. I can't even imagine all the memories you have.
Yeah. You'll get through them though somehow, the hell ones, the hells, the absolute hell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hell. And then you think about religion and people think, I don't know, and try to handle that sometime when it really gets bad. And you think, hey, how come? But somehow you work it out. I don't know. How do you all feel about that?
I think life's all about choices
About
as
what?
well. I think life's all about choices as well. I think it's what you make of it, you know. If you try to look at the glass half
Well,
full than half
I'm
empty.
just wondering, or am I? Well, I'm not really talking about the religion per se, but you hear so many people say, "Hey," or we'll use the defense that if there's a God, why would He let horrible things like this happen and so forth? You know that. You hear that
Right.
so often, and you think to yourself, "Hey, think about it." And I don't know, where do you go from there? Well, what's your opinion about all that?
Looking at me.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Y'all sound pretty cool to me. So.
About a god?
Well, not well.
Why would a God let something like that happen?
I heard that so much lately. I think that's why it's on my mind right now because of all the talk about the Pope and all this that's coming along. And I'm a Catholic, so don't think I'm picking on the Pope or anybody. But man, it's been rough, and it is. And that's a lot of people do that, use that for a defense about, what's happened. And boy, some pretty damn horrible things happened.
Yeah.
My God, think about that sinkhole, for instance.
Oh, I saw an article about that. It's
Oh,
really
wow.
And to think for them. But, so does that shake you, or did you have anything to shake? Or I guess I'm trying to find out what a group of intelligent people like you think about that.
I think the first time I heard that, I thought it was a joke. I didn't really think it was serious. And then I saw the article online, and I was just like, this world just gets unsafer and safer by the minute. That's what I think. Because you just never know. You kind of just live on the edge, and that's maybe how you live your life if you...
Well, yeah, but I wonder what you think about the argument that if there were a God, He wouldn't let all these horrible damn things happen to people. And it's pretty horrible things to happen. I just taken that one sentence. I mean, just wondering. Because as I say, I don't often get into a group of intelligent people like you. So,
Right. I think God just definitely tests us. I think
He
it's
what?
all a test. I think life is just a test, just to get to Him.
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so he knows what you're capable of, so He'll throw everything that He can at you to see what you're going to do in that situation. I like a challenge.
That is very interesting. And E's over here, and who else is over there?
Nobody,
E?
just me.
What about your opinion there, E? And I'll get to you, Joseph. I'm just curious about you guys.
Well, I think that life happens, as you said before, and we have to just be flexible as to how we handle it. Look at it positively, look at it as an opportunity to grow and learn from the experience. You know, the more things that are thrown at you, the stronger you become, the more you can appreciate life. You know, in talking about that one situation about that gentleman that went down the sinkhole, I thought to myself, what was going on in his life that created that happening underneath him? That's taking total responsibility, not blaming it on God or anybody else, but what was going on in his life that had that tragic thing happen to him at that time.
And he was there at that particular time and space.
Right. Yeah.
You mean?
Yeah.
Oh, now that's interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting.
That's total 100% responsibility for whatever happens to you.
Oh.
Not blaming it on anybody else, including God or Obama or anybody else.
That's what you. Now, how about you, Joseph?
Okay, Joseph.
Well, my mom always told me that everything happens for a reason, and when she passed away, you know, I doubted that. I couldn't believe that, but
When your mom passed away, she had to be quite young, of course.
she was 44,
And she was young.
and so, I mean, I couldn't possibly think why, you know, if there was a God, why would he do this to me? But now that I'm reflecting about it here and now, you know, I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't go through all the hardships that I went through. So it's just, you know, everything that happens to you in life molds you and makes you who you are, makes you stronger.
It's that interesting. We all sort of come to the same conclusion, isn't it? And that's kind of surprising, isn't it? You think I mean, wouldn't you think that people would just be totally pissed off, excuse the expression, at God for doing all this? But we don't seem to be there, do we?
Because we're not whiners.
Uh-huh.
You know, have you probably in your life run into a lot of people that whine and complain about everything, and therefore everything happens to them that they get to whine about?
Uh-huh.
Those people that don't whine and take each day for what it is don't have a lot of negative things that happen to them because they don't create them. They don't focus on the negative.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Focus on the positive.
I think I'll go join the Rotary after listening to E. I hope you don't mind my asking this, but it's been on my mind for a couple of days, and as I say, I appreciate you people because I know there are minds working here, and I've enjoyed your perspective on all this and your feelings about it. I thank you. It probably was a little far off of what you wanted to talk about, but you know where I'm coming from, huh, Joseph?
Yes, of course.
Your mother at 44, good heavens. Ah. I don't know. And of course, look at me where I am, and I'm thinking, hell, I'm not going to be around here a whole lot longer. But you have to keep on plugging away, and things still do happen. Life isn't perfect, for God's sakes, you know. I've got my problem. I have problems. Things come up, and so forth and so on. I think, what do you feel is the... I don't know how to quite word this. Well, as far as minds go, I think an open mind is the most wonderful thing to have, to keep an open mind. But I'm not talking about that particularly right now. What do you think is the best, the element that keeps you going? The best thing about you, your character, our person's character?
It's quite a question.
Yeah.
Well, for me, one of my best characteristics about me that keeps me going. That's the question.
Well, yeah, of all the different things like, well, I guess it's kind of, the only way I can explain it is to say what I'm thinking.
Right.
That kindness, being kind.
Will definitely get you a long way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of trying and then talking about people. I find myself sometimes, and especially here, or in a place like this, in a community, where people will start talking, and before you know it, the word is passed around about other people, and you know how that builds up. I have sworn that I'm not going to repeat one damn thing I ever hear about anybody. And I get kind of proud of myself that I'm managing to do that. I'll listen. They want to talk, okay. There's one guy here right now that's the most negative person I've ever met in my life. But somehow, he'll come over and sit down where I am, and he'll talk and this and that. I asked him about the open mind. He was pretty insulted. And I said, hey, on the subjects I can't mention in front of you. I said, you get teed off. I cleaned up my language right then. Did you notice that?
I noticed that. It was good.
So I've kind of, and he comes over to sit there all the time. And he told me one day that, God, am I getting off the track? Am I getting off the track?
No, you're fine. You're good.
He told me one day that I had no, he didn't say politeness, that I had no etiquette. Etiquette was the word he used. He was using it the wrong way and so forth. But what he meant was I had no politeness or etiquette or anything about that. And I kind of looked at him and I said, hey, Bill, I said, you know, of all the people around here, I'm the only one that ever asked you to sit down.
Right.
And he didn't know what to say. I'm not building myself up as a saint, but I have discovered that talk like that hurts. And what it does, it hurts me more because I'm repeating it to make myself look, get attention. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
About other people, the things that they do, and the quotes that one hears.
Right.
Did I make any of that clear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I worked at it. I'm not going to be canonized tomorrow or anything. You don't have to take up some time tomorrow to come to the canonization. Oh boy, it's hard. But I started this off by asking you, well, what about it? Oh, of course you could say humility, you could say this, but kindness. Just now, tell me. Let me give you a sentence. I'm going to go out, like I said one day to someone, I'm going to go out and find some random acts of kindness to do. And the person looked at me and I said, uh-oh, they're not going to be random acts, are they? They're not random, are they?
Not really.
But they're kindness. How about you, E?
How about me what?
Well, that random acts of kindness. If I said random acts of kindness, does that make them not random?
Okay. Where's my dictionary?
No, but I mean...
Yeah, they could be. Of course, the thing is you go around, you pull out somebody's chair, you open the door, you say thank you, good morning. I'm always amazed how many people I walk by and I say good morning, and they, as if I don't exist. But I figured after I'd gone by, they thought, I should have said good morning to him too. So yeah, I think it's important.
Oh, yes. In fact, that you bring this up, I was just walking where somebody said good morning when I came out my door. Whatever it was, what does it matter? But said good morning. I said, hey, why not?
Mm-hmm.
And they all laughed and thought that was really cool. I didn't think I'd done anything that spectacular. I thought, well, I guess I did sound pretty good. So I was all pleased with myself, walking around feeling, not too much humiliation going on there for a little while, so I finally cooled off. But I think kindness, you're so young, and well, so are you, E.
Well, thank you very much, Norma. I appreciate that.
You don't, I don't think you have to be older, I guess, to appreciate what do I mean? What do I mean?
Just being kind to others. Sometimes I find myself having a hard time being kind to people that are completely oblivious to kindness. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and then also you're so young.
Right.
And all of you. And
the expectations for teenagers or young youth isn't quite the same as it used to be, because we really aren't trained to have really good manners like it was a couple of years ago, maybe a decade, 2 decades ago. But when I was growing up in the South, they have Southern hospitality, so you play by the rules or you don't come back. And so killing one with kindness was a term that I used a lot. And when I told my friends,
What did you say? I didn't quite hear that.
My mom always told me to kill people with kindness. So you kill them with kindness. If you don't like them, if you don't like what they're saying,
kill them with kindness. Yes.
Yeah, and so I would try to do that instead of saying what I really wanted to say. That way, everybody's in the clear, and my mom will be proud of me for not being wild in public.
Yes. See, that explains, like the gentleman, the fellow I was talking about earlier. He's come around like this because I think, really, I thought, he's not going to bother me. He's not going to bug me. He's been insulting. He's been this and that. But I think I have almost killed him with kindness, yeah. How about your sister? How is she?
My sister's, she's good.
Good kid, huh?
She is.
Uh-huh.
My mom adores her. She's the baby of the family, so.
Well, I'm sure your mom adores you too, darling, but you know, after all.
Yes.
And don't ever say that, because that almost sounds like, well, why am I objecting to that, E?
I don't know, Norma. I want to be honest with you and tell you that I was just thinking that we also have agreed to talk with Wallace as well, Wally.
Yes.
And I was thinking, well, it's getting pretty close to the time where we need to complete our conversation today, and I need to talk to Wallace. So to be honest with you, that's what I was thinking about at this moment.
Well, that's all right. I mean, I think that's just an expression that one uses, but it sounds like, I'm sure your mother adores you too.
Yeah, me and my mom are twins. We look exactly alike.
Oh yeah, because you don't want to ignore that, or I would worry that you might think that. I wouldn't want to leave here thinking, oh dear, Bhakti thinks her mother doesn't adore her as much as your sister.
Oh no.
And you know darn well she does.
She does.
We're all cleared up, E.
Great.
I hate to think about this conversation. I really do. I don't know.
That's okay. I really enjoyed it. You had a lot of good facts and things that you discussed with us.
Norma, what I want to share with you is that your first quote about life happens when you're planning other things, or planning your life. And then your whole conversation went right around that exact comment. And so it all blended right in. So it was really very beautiful. Very beautiful. I'm going to hold on to that for a long time.
You know, I'm just sitting here, and I was going to say almost speechless, but that's not exactly what's happening. But I'm just thrilled to hear, because you already know that I think you're just a marvelous group. And from what you just said, I'm going to take that with me, and I'm going to treasure what you just said. I really am, and I thank you.
I thank you.
And you make me feel like maybe I haven't come across as just a chattering old, as I say, beat up
Of course
broad.
not.
Huh?
Of course not.
Of course not.
Well, thank you very much. Now, what do you want from me from now on? Wallace needs you, yeah. Now, what else may I do, or am I supposed to be doing?
Nothing. Ante needs to know how to turn that off.
Oh, yeah, just push a button.
Just push a button.
God, that's been filmed all this time.